In February 1999, I raised the question of forced marriage in the House of Commons. It was the first time the issue of forced marriages had ever been raised in Parliament. And this was 99. No one had ever mentioned it before. We didn't even call it forced marriages because we knew we were going to get an enormous amount of flack. I think we called it community relations. I remember all too well the criticism that was levelled at me. I was told by many, men in particular, that forced marriages did not exist, that they were a figment of my imagination, or an excuse to simply demonize the Asian community. I argued and argued for 9 years, and there were times when that was difficult. I was called a racist and all sorts of things, despite the fact that everything I said was said to protect the most vulnerable members of the Pakistani community, and to some extent the Bangladeshi community in my constituency. I was tarred with the usual racist brush, but I have 3 half-Indian grandchildren and 1 half-African step-grandchild, so I'm hardly racist.
Shahid Malik, who's a member of Labour's National Executive Committee, has been critical of you in the past.
He built a career on it, if you don't mind me saying that. Every time I said anything about forced marriages, about the need for English in the South Asian home, the need for greater integration, you could always rely on Shahid Malik to be there in a television studio doing me down. I was between the devil and the deep blue sea. I had Shahid Malik on one side telling me I was completely wrong, and on the other side I had the BNP, or at one time the National Front, saying all I cared about was Asian women. So, I mean, where do you go when you're in that position? I was sort of, week on week, being forced to recognize the problems of forced marriages. And I wasn't the only one dealing with them by the week. There are things we have to face up to. There are great problems in this area, and we're not going to solve these problems by pussyfooting around. So we took the argument forward, and since 99 until now, it took quite a long time. And it was a lonely furrow. It was a lonely road. So why did no one else come on board? I think it was for fear of losing votes. I mean, you know, if you're in a seat with only a few hundred or a few thousand votes between you and political suicide, are you going to raise questions like that? No, you're not. You're going to stay quiet. So I had many other MPs coming to me saying, oh yes, we know all about it. It's happening all the time in my constituency. But they dare not raise it because it was too, let's use that horrible word, sensitive. Too sensitive. I'm allergic to the word sensitive, as it usually means shut up, actually. All of these things that you, Anne Cryer, should shut up about because you're causing a lot of problems. I was quoted as saying that it's important for people coming to this country to actually use the language of this country. I don't think it's all that radical to say that. When in Rome, do as the Romans. I wouldn't dream of going to live in France with my total lack of